Hi, Stephanie. Welcome to our show. We haven't been doing that for a while. Recording our
Creating.
conversations, creating, putting creative energy out there. I mean, we do that every single day. We just don't record it and put it anywhere.
True, true.
So now I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. What better moment than right now? And
Absolutely.
I'm so excited you're here.
I feel like what one of the things that we figured out is that whenever we feel at our lowest, that is when we have the biggest need and utility in creating things.
Tell me more.
Well, this has been like a topic that the two of us have been tinkering with, struggling with ever since we shut down the previous company. And especially like with this company over the past year, we've been really like trying to figure out like what is it blocking us like from unleashing our full potential. It sounds a little bit like woo, but there is a stark difference between the way that we approached our first company when we didn't know anything and we really did everything with an absolute belief that we can do it regardless of how big it seemed. And I feel like we're trying to get there again, get some of that naivete.
You think we were just young and oblivious to what it takes to build a company?
100%. Well, I still feel young.
Young and energized, don't forget that.
That's how I roll. Not as much oblivious. I think the biggest challenge of growing up is you acquire wisdom, and that gives you perspective, and then how do you take advantage of this knowledge, but at the same time preserve that belief? As an adult, it becomes a practice almost to believe in something because it takes courage. And when you know things, when you know how certain things work, it takes even more courage. It's easier to have courage when you don't have an idea. Then you're like, you know what? I've got a good feeling. I think it's going to work out. But then you're like, well, I have a feeling that after doing this for 10 years and trying like this 1,000 times, 1,000 different things, I've got the feeling and the knowledge that there is a very small chance of this working out. How do you find courage when you have that wisdom?
And what are some of the tools you're using right now to preserve this naivety and keep focusing on creation?
Well, I feel like learning new things, especially like things that I'm personally curious about, is something that helps me be as comfortable as I can be starting something from scratch and like being a child again. We've been talking a lot about the things that I love. I love climbing, I love adventure, I love photography, and I love doing these things together. And for me, like there is like that child like sense of stepping into the unknown, like you.
Creating out of desire, right? Without the cherished outcome. I
Yeah.
can remember who introduced that concept of a cherished outcome.
One of the guests of Tim Ferriss.
I think maybe Martha Beck. Once you have that cherished outcome towards an activity, you have something to lose. You're doing things out of a grand expectation, and the chance of disappointment is so much bigger. So, actually, as an adult that has the experience of what works and what doesn't, as a person that has grown and understood the game of life in so many aspects, you lose the naivety that things will just work. Yet the only way to make things work is to keep going and keep working. So unlocking that creative mind, yet not tying it to that cherished outcome. Every Monday we start the morning for me, the afternoon for you with a conversation, and we walk through our weekends and what churches with energy. And one of the things that you bring to this conversation is all these beautiful creative endeavors that you did. And I really wanted you to tell us more about it. Where do you find that energy today, and how does it look from the point of a grown up without the cherished outcome in mind?
I personally like find it in the outdoors, the mountain, and being present in the mountain and climbing, sharing like this experience with friends or doing it on my own, and having the camera with me. I really love capturing the life around me. I feel like I have a very rich life here in Bulgaria. I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have so many wonderful people in my life that I can do different things. Can I can go on adventures. I can create. I can laugh. I can cry. I can ponder big topics, just like we do the two of us. And with Casper, the only difference is that you're around 9,119 kilometers, according
Oh, I
to
hear a
Flying Blind.
lot of numerology aligning here.
I know. I but there's something about the cherished outcome that I wanted to get back to, because in Bulgarian language, like, we're very conditioned, like, with the word трябва, which translates must. So essentially, like, if you just pay a little bit of attention to when you think and when you speak to other Bulgarians, if you're a Bulgarian, then you're gonna notice just how much we say, "I must do this, I must do that, then I must do this, then I must." Almost like 90% of the time, things that I was approaching, that there is no must behind them. I was treating them as a must-have, and this is really setting a certain expectation and a certain cherished outcome, right? I feel as children we don't have that, right? You just take a rock
Hmm.
and you're like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is the most beautiful rock," and then you imagine that this is actually a skull of an alien, and then you come up with whatever things. You spend 5 hours, like, there's no cherished outcome. You just be. I feel like the whole hustle, self-improvement, productivity culture emphasizes so much that there needs to be, everything is like transactional, and there's a goal, and you're acquiring certain skills so that you can improve your performance to get to the goal. That combined, like, with this must attitude, it almost like deprives you of any choice. There's all these things that I must do in my day and I must do in my free time in order to get to somewhere where potentially I'm gonna feel fulfilled. But I need to suffer, right? Suffering is a must. Like, there's no way around suffering. And then I get to embrace, like, this suffering mindset. And guess what? Then life becomes suffering. And obviously, like, there are hard things in life, but I feel I'm acquiring wisdom as an adult. What matters more is really finding joy in life, finding joy and belief in the things that I do. That is a lot more purposeful and meaningful than just treating my life as a checklist. And it's really hard for me to imagine that the day I die, I'm gonna look at all the things that I've completed and I'm gonna be like, what a productive life. Oh my gosh. I really optimized every single second out of this life. Hoorah to me.
All the must do's checked off.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful metaphor that you brought up with the children and children mindset. I think one of the big privileges of my life right now is spending time with my kids and getting to play. So much of their attitude is being in the now. Actually, that's their default. And I catch myself applying my anxiety on top of them and on top of beautiful moments of just being with the must do's, like, oh, but now we must do the homework. We must do the cleanup. We must do the card for the birthday. And then I remind myself of these things that you said. Hey, we can do the same things, but from a place of creation. Let's do the cooking now. Let's do the same thing, but from the point of creative energy versus must do attitude. It just changes everything. And I told you recently something that deeply impressed me with Saifu, which is the Kung Fu master
Mm.
of my kid, who said, hey, kids, you wake up some days and you're complaining and whining to your parents, and you say, hey, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to Kung Fu. I don't want to write my homework. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And he told them so beautifully, there's another perspective. You got to remember that you get to do it. So many kids out there don't get to do the things you do. You don't have to. You get to. In your life, you're so blessed that you have parents that care about you going to school. So you get to go to school. You get to learn new things. You get to be out there with friends and socialize and have that community around you. You get to go to Kung Fu. Somebody cared for you. You found some passion of yours, some hobby of yours. You get to do it. And I realized it was such powerful change of frame towards something that is actually the same. I have to cook and I want to cook now to prepare for lunch is the same outcome, yet in one of the cases it's chosen, the other one is enforced. And when you make too many things of your life, you have to do, it becomes a enjoyable life. And I've been
Oh,
so admiring your work with the climbing, and I really wanted you to share more around that.
you have always been so generous, Yana, and that's why you're my best friend. Also Casper, but like in this conversation, you're my best friend. So, sharing my screen. I wanna share these things with you. I've been always You'll need to unlock your iPhone first. Hold on, Siri. Hold on. Like we're not gonna unlock anything but beauty today. So I was very fortunate that a friend of mine, Dancho, introduced me to climbing like 5 years ago. So if it wasn't for him, like I wouldn't be doing this. This is him. And here we are in one of the popular locations here in Bulgaria where we're climbing. So very rarely I get to have a photograph of me taken, but my other good friend Rosen took this one. And honestly, like this is the closest I get as an adult to just being present in the moment and playing.
Get back to it, please. Just get back to it and let me dissect what I'm seeing here. This photo is a metaphor for life. Like you have walked such a long way below you, and now you're headed up there. You're very concentrated. You have the gear, you have the skills, you have the attitude. Everything is captured in this photo. I can't believe it. Like it is the best photo I've seen in a long time that really captures, besides the one that you showed me of the father and the child. But these
Mm.
are the two photos that really struck a chord with me, and I saw so much life in them, so many good things about life within one moment within that photo. And I really love how focused you are on achieving your goal and how skilled and how prepared you look.
And here's the thing, it's not even so much about like achieving in that moment. In the beginning, I was very focused on climbing that specific route, getting to the harder one and focusing on the outcome. There was a cherished. I was so fixed on climbing like one particular route that we spent the whole summer. And every time that we get to climb it, like it was getting worse and worse. Like psychologically, it was deteriorating our performance. And at one point, I realized, Jesus Christ, the whole reason why we do this is not to climb this one route. The whole reason is that we get to enjoy. And there's no joy. And when I realized this, we just started climbing in a different place. And suddenly, like, we started getting better and enjoying it more. And for me, climbing is being entirely present. I don't even need to force it. It just happens. Like, your brain realizes that it's something dangerous that it's doing, and it's just present and just figuring out where is it that I'm gonna step next? Where is it that I'm gonna hold myself next? And that's it. It's just really figuring out just the next move. And the best thing, like a lot of people that are maybe not so familiar with climbing, they will think, gosh, it must be the adrenaline. Like you really must love that feeling of being in danger. It's the opposite. It's the best climbing are these moments where you're just present and you enjoy what's happening and you feel good in your body and you're moving and you're using your body to climb up that route and you don't even realize how you've spent like 8 hours on that wall.
Can you show some of the heights, because I think it's hard for people to put in perspective how high are you actually up and how tiny are humans.
Yeah, so these ones in particular, they're not so high. Like this is my other friend that's climbing. Like these are like 20-meter rocks. When we go, like, so for example, this is Vraca. This is like for me like the best
Is there a
location.
human there? These are
From
beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
moments.
So this right here, like this
Oh,
is I
wow,
for me
majestic.
yeah, it really is. Like every time that I go, I'm still blown away by the sheer size of it. So the highest that we've climbed so far on this particular segment, like we've also been on the other side, but it's this rock here, this one, and
Oh, wow.
it really feels very up there. Like this is a photo from that rock, and sometimes you can see other people that are climbing on that side here. um and it's
You sometimes get yourself in trouble in really tough spots
sometimes it happens, yeah, like
that feel like life and death decisions.
sometimes, yeah, I feel like the scariest
Wow.
parts are when you're lead climbing and you're getting into some part of the route that you're not super familiar, but you really need to commit. This was like from another climb. This is one friend, and like that's kind of scary because you don't really know if you're going to figure it out. The more dangerous situations honestly are in wintertime when we're winter mountaineering, because that's where like it gets very sketchy very fast, because here it's sort of a controlled environment. So last time we had a situation was when we were sailing down and our ropes got stuck. So I had to climb back and unstuck it, but the second time it got stuck again, so I had to climb back up again. And we were very lucky because we had enough rope to do it. But the second time I had to do it in the dark, so I had to climb up with my lamp. But wintertime in the mountain, when climbing or just mountaineering, like, is just a whole different universe. And this winter I was in Vitusha Mountain, which is like right next to the capital, and I love going in winter.
Oh my God, I am blown away. Look at how beautiful this is.
Isn't it? Isn't it crazy that this is done by wind? That the wind would just.
Create. The wind created. It painted
Yep.
this rock.
This
Wow.
this this almost looks like one of these sandworms from Dune that is just like opening its mouth and it's about to eat you up. Um, when like the winter mountain is is like a different world like to discover. Like I
We ended up in an avalanche this winter. Mild one, but still.
yeah. Yeah, I did. I kind of sensed that the conditions were not very stable because already on my approach to this place, there were parts of the snow that were collapsing. So I was aware that maybe it's not a good idea to continue. Maybe it's the best idea is to go back. But I really wanted to see how far I can get. So I continued and I was climbing up like this collar. So I was like stuck to the wall. I made sure that I was like close to the rock as I can be and to use it as support, like with my tools. And I was already like halfway up. It was something like 50 degrees slope. So a little bit steep, but still, I could stand. And then I made like one more step, and then the whole slope on the side of me just collapsed and started like going down. So I didn't even hear anything. I just saw it happening. I was like very lucky that I positioned myself in the right place. And then I thought, you know what? Well, now that the upper layer is gone, like there's no problem of avalanche anymore. So let's continue. But the conditions were really not ideal because it was like very foggy. It was very windy. So I couldn't really see well. So eventually I decided like to turn around. And just as I had cleared out of this steep part, I was already like um going back to safe zone. And I was going like through this one little slope. It was probably like 30 degrees. And then I make two steps and then the whole slope collapses. And I'm just like rolling down with the snow. It's not a lot of snow, but it was just enough snow like to tumble me down. And it was such a strange feeling because I wasn't surprised that it happened, but I was still surprised that I couldn't do anything in that moment. I was just at the mercy of the mountain. So I was very lucky.
Very, yeah. Nature tried to send you multiple signals you ignored.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm not picking this up. Could you be a little bit more specific?
What do you mean it's dangerous in the mountains today? Love your photos. Stefani, you need to go climbing now, so I'm just gonna let you go and wrap up this reintroduction to the podcast and to our intention to put more of our creative work out there. Thank you for sharing these photos. We're gonna do a round two, and we're gonna look at some of the photographs that you're doing in other periods of the year for your own pleasure, for clients, and so on, because I always learn so much about this lens of life. If you ask me, when does Stefan play? That is behind the camera. Like this is your place of no cherished outcome. You're out there with the camera to
Yeah.
just capture moments, light, beautiful things without any expectations of what they should be, no orchestration. And I think actually the fact that you don't do it commercially, you do it for yourself, for your friends, for your family, for these moments makes it so special because you do not chase anything particular, which makes you so present in the moment.
There was a moment when I really wanted to be a professional photographer. So I did got to do it professionally when I was in Denmark and when I started my freelance career. And in that moment, I stopped doing it for myself. Suddenly it was work. So it was such an interesting thing to observe that the thing that I wanted to do the most and that I wanted like to do it professionally and be recognized for it, I stopped doing it for myself. And it wasn't until we went to the US, to California with our previous company and the previous team, and we were living, 5 people in a 2 bedroom apartment for a year, that I got to pick it up again and like start documenting. For me, documenting my life, the life of my friends, the beauty around myself, like this is what gets me going. It's I love showing that beauty. I love capturing that beauty.
Absolutely, and it shows, and it's such an incredible gift to also go be able to go back in time and through the photos relive some of the emotions because these moments it's not a curated experience. We are not there posing for a photo shoot and putting a mask on. No, these are real everyday moments that you captured, and as going back in time, it feels like I go back to the person I was in that moment. I go back to the emotions we had and the state of mind that we
Yeah.
had. And it's like a time travel machine. Let's do it next time. Let's go back
Yeah.
to 2015, 2016 in California and review some of the photos and moments and talk about who we were back then and how did we approach our work and how were we creating startups.
This is going to be a good follow up to this conversation.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Yana. Always a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.